Hey everyone, I just wanted to show you this Plastalina Clay. It never hardens because it's an oil-based clay. So it's really good for product designers because if we want to rework like a handle or try and test out a lot of different things at once, it works really, really well. I have a little bit here. The rest from the block that this belongs to is currently in use. It warms up with your hands. So it becomes much more pliable when it's warm. And you can freeze it. If you put it in the freezer, it does become much harder, but you can still mold it. So it never actually fully hardens. I don't know if there is any particular temperature that would either fully freeze at or if it would completely melt at. I'm sure there would be something that would melt at. So before you go to work with this, if you have cold hands like I do, you might want to warm them up or keep like a small space heater next to you because the larger blocks are somewhat difficult to warm up in time. Also, another thing to note is that because I've only handled this a few times that you won't see it yet, but the residue sticks to your fingers and whatever workspace you are working on. So this is the space that I had been using before with the purple, and it just gets all over everything. So you don't want to be wearing anything really nice or have anything close by that you don't want ruined, because this can definitely stain it. So what we're going to do is we're going to open this up so you see what it looks like on the inside. This I got at Dick Blick. Well, I mean, the stores are now called Blick, but the website's still Dick Blick. And then after you pull it out of this package, because this obviously is not a package for storage, which is kind of silly considering the nature of this clay is that it never hardens, so you'll always have clay, basically. And they don't provide any sort of packaging or long-term packaging. So you just need to get a Ziploc bag. And I keep them color-coded so I don't mix the colors up too badly. They apparently also do not believe in easy open either. I think that's everything. Okay, so here's the block that you get. And in just a moment, I'll show you how easy it is to manipulate. But first, I want to get out a few tools. These are just some normal clay tools that you might use in ceramics. And as you can see, I did use this at one point and it totally stained it. So if you have tools that you do not want stained, don't use, well, either don't use these tools that will get stained or get special tools for that so that you have your own set for the Plastalina Clay. Let's see, and I think that's all I'm going to use today are these. So the tools that I chose for this, this would be a steel and wood, I think they're called rubber or ribbon scrapers. So this, it has two different ends, this flat end and this rounded end, so you can get different types of shapes out of it, much like that. This is a stainless steel scraper. They do come serrated. This one is not. I don't need it to be scraped or serrated. This one I have used for many different things. I can either use it to kind of smooth things out, which this gives a really good variety of areas to smooth with. Or the thing that I have found really useful for this is that if you do this right, you can get it to hack off a nice clean edge so that it makes it a whole lot easier, because trust me, making a clean edge in this is difficult. And then I have a needle tool. These are all pretty inexpensive tools. Usually even more expensive when you buy in a big set, which is why I have so many other tools over here. But these all do a really good job and will get you through most of what you want to do. If you wanted to do handles and whatnot, you'd want to take a bit that was about the size that you wanted the handle, a little bit more, so that way you could have either people grip onto it, and so it would show you the different types of grips. Obviously for an ergonomic grip, you really don't want this because you'll never get it to fit everyone's hands exactly the same, but it'll give you a general idea of the shape of people's hands. But then also you can really easily go through and form a lot of organic shapes with it. It makes it easier to do than if you were to go straight into some sort of CAD modeling like SolidWorks. You can really go through and play with a lot of different shapes with this in a short amount of time. And if you document them with your camera, you could do so many different shapes that will really help you out in your project. But for today, I will be going through, where's that book? Our assignment is in Elements of Design. We will be doing the curvilinear shapes. We already did the rectangular. Let's not go into that. Let's not try and pronounce that at this time. It's kind of late. Yeah, see, this was the first project right here. This one, we have to go through and do all these rounded shapes and whatnot. So one of the things that you may want to do if you're trying to make more freeform pieces is get some wire together, and of course wire cutters. This is just the wire for like floral arrangements and whatnot. You can easily find that in a Michael's or a Joann's or whichever craft shop you prefer. And then wire hangers. I don't know how much I'm going to use these just because they're so large and thick, and I don't know if I have anything that will properly cut this here. But we'll just go ahead and see. By getting that dye all over your hands, it's always there. And sometimes you'll have to wash your hands several times through a project because your hands might just get really, really gunky. And I highly recommend these wire cutters. I think maybe you'll look at it there. I'll put it down in the description for more heavy-duty wire cutting. They're not so good for jewelry, but they're really good for stuff like this. Yeah, so if you try to transport these anyplace, try to freeze them beforehand so that they don't get too messed up. Like, you saw how easily that got nicked. So if you freeze it a little bit beforehand, hopefully it won't be quite so bad. Okay, so you would use typical joining techniques that you would use ceramics as well. Here I'm just pushing some of the clay back and forth to kind of form a bond here, just all around the seam. So you can't use slip in this because, what would you make it out of? And personally, I would always put some sort of paper down, just so that way it's easier to clean up at the end. And sometimes if it's just too free moving, if you put it off to the side so it can kind of cool down a little bit, that will usually help it out a lot too. So like this one where it just doesn't want to stay up, just put it off to the side for a little bit. And then move on to your next model that you're trying to do. Okay, thank you so much for watching. I hope this was helpful for you and somewhat informative. Please hit like and subscribe, and if you have any comments, please leave them in the bottom. Thank you so much. Have a fantastic night.